So when we were in San Francisco that was the first conference I was part of the Synergy conference, and it was the first time, at least for me, hearing about the dimensions of scale. And when we started talking about spread and shift, we realized that was really the opposite of the direction we were taking with the scale up of the Bridge to Biotech program. And so we realized that we needed to refocus our work on trying to come back to the core elements of our program, to modify it and streamline it and get rid of all of what Chris Dede called earlier the overhead, and come back to what really were the core consistent elements that we wanted to keep across all the programs to make sure that it was easier to adapt to the different environments. And so the conclusion of that was that we needed to move from disseminating a curriculum to and a program and to disseminating core elements and ingrained into a toolkit. And so best practices or promising practices that we thought were really the essential points of the Bridge to Biotech.
Right.
So
A big part of that was understanding enough about the synergy concepts and tools that we were able to let go of our role as the experts, that we're going to be just expecting our adopters would take everything that we had learned and just use it wholesale in their college with their students. And when we let go of that notion that they would just take it all and use everything we had learned, and we moved to an idea that we would really just try and facilitate them using the best elements of it and adapting it to their needs. You know, that kind of letting go of the control and encouraging them to adapt it and to meet whatever their needs were in their college environment. That was kind of the psychological shift we had to make.
Right. That for me was a big revelation. I think for a time when we were boiling down our best practices and kind of distilling them into our toolkit, I thought, this is perfect. This is, I think we've given justification for everything that we're doing, and once they see why we're doing it, they're gonna adopt this, and then realized in short order as we started to have people look at that toolkit and start to engage with it, that until they were actively part of designing and developing those tools, they were not going to adopt any of these practices, that they weren't going to feel it in any way, that it wasn't going to become something that they wanted to do. So we needed that kind of collaboration. So for me, that movement from what seemed like brilliant work and you should adopt this great model to it's not a static toolkit. That toolkit will never be finished. It's going to have to be something that evolves over time with our partners, and that evolving toolkit is the only thing that's going to be engaging and actually getting our adopters to adopt these practices with us.
Right. So some of our Synergy colleagues summarize that by saying you're shifting from thinking of yourself as the sage on the stage to the guide on the side. And I really love that because that kind of summarizes that whole process, and it really psychologically it's a big thing when you make it.
Oh,
it changes everything.
It was very big. Yeah, because I really did think that if it was well enough packaged, if we really pointed out why each and everything was needed, that we were going to get the buy-in.
If you just made it perfect,
just right,
the trap of perfection.
they were gonna run with it.
Yeah. And we even tried different formats. We tried PDF. No, that's not going to work. We need something more engaging, more evolving, and then website. So it's going to be more interactive.
And I should be honest, I still hold on to it a little bit. That there's some way in which maybe we will be able to present it just right. So there won't be quite as much co-designing necessary, and that people will just take it on faith and run with what we've developed so far. But what I'm accepting more and more and more is that it really always has to be an in-show process that's developing on the go.
And once you make that shift, then you can also, the toolkit idea segued into the learning community tool or approach, right?
Yeah.
Lawrence, you want to talk about that? Yeah.
Well, no, I actually wanted to say that the latest piece that actually I feel came in to the process, like the third kind of, it's not really an aha moment, but more about a problem resolution, was when we realized that some of our adopters were not ready to launch their, a lot of our adopters were not ready to launch their programs yet, and they were still in the developmental phases. And so we were working with them around these ideas, all these best practices or promising practices, these tools that we thought were essential. So even though we had shifted from a curriculum to a toolkit, and then from a toolkit, a static toolkit, to more of a living toolkit with community of practice and co-designing, involvement of our designers, we were still feeling like we were the ones pushing for some of these topics to be addressed and to be discussed, and we were putting pressure on them to think and reflect about tools that maybe they hadn't used yet because they were still developing their programs. And I think for me the latest one has been that instead of focusing on the toolkit right away, which they're not at yet, they're not at this point yet. Some of the tools they're looking at right now, but not all of them. It was about us putting ourselves in a position of analyzing the process that they're going through in adopting the program, and that this first round would be actually really informative for the next few projects, because we're going to be able to learn a lot from the challenges that they're facing, from the solutions that they're finding, and that we'll be able to actually incorporate this better into the toolkit and also in the process of working in that community of practice. So I think I've actually shifted a lot of my approach from leading a reflection to actually stepping back even more and analyzing and studying how they're working and what challenges they're meeting. So it's a very different approach. I feel like that was the latest one that also came through the synergy process.